President of the ANC, as well as the Deputy President of the country, Comrade David Mabuza, known as DD. We're grateful for the presence of the media and the support and the coverage you've given us thus far, and the people of Mpumalanga to honor the son of Mpumalanga. I am here accompanying the Secretary General of the ANC, Comrade Fikile Mbalula, who has come to condole with the family. He's just been inside, but the SG will speak in detail about that, including announcing details of memorial services and the burial of our Deputy President. Over to you, SG.
Thank you very much, Comrade Mahlengi. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, and our provincial chairperson, Comrade Mandla, and the Premier of the province, our provincial secretary, as well as other officials of the province present here, and the provincial executive committee, leaders of the ANC Youth League in the province, leaders of the ANC Women's League, the Veterans League of the ANC, as well as members of the Tripartite Alliance that are present here today. The African National Congress wishes to update the nation on the memorial and funeral program for our departed comrade, former Deputy President of the Republic and Deputy President of the African National Congress, Comrade David Mabuza. As the ANC, we are in deep mourning as we remember a cadre who lived and died in service of the people of South Africa. The outpouring of condolences and expressions of solidarity from every corner of our country and the world reaffirms the stature of Comrade DD Mabuza as a unifier, a humble servant of the people, and a disciplined leader of our movement. As the ANC, together with the Mabuza family, government, and our alliance partners, we are working to ensure that Comrade DD receives a dignified farewell, befitting of his contribution to our democratic dispensation and to the lives of countless South Africans, especially in the rural heartland where he began his political journey. Over the course of this week, tribute sessions and organized visits have been and will be taking place across all regions of Mpumalanga. This is to allow different sectors of society, from the mass democratic movement, community leaders, diplomatic representatives, farmers associations, business people, traditional leaders and healers to pay their last respect and reflect on Comrade Mabuza's profound legacy. These activities include family and organizational visits from the 7th to the 9th of July 2025. Visits and tributes have been organized by structures of the ANC, including the Provincial Executive Committee of Mpumalanga Province, the leagues, the Umkhonto weSizwe Liberation War veterans and alliance partners, as well as diplomatic missions, sister liberation movements, and local stakeholders. Daily tribute sessions, Monday to Wednesday, will be held from 10 to 14 hours and 17 hours, with a special Umanyano session on Wednesday at 14 hours. Regional memorial services will take place on Thursday in 3 regions in Mpumalanga. In Ntlhandzeni region, Paula Sports Field, this will be the main memorial service and will be addressed by Deputy President of the ANC, Comrade Paul Mashatile. Gert Sibande region, Chief Albert Lutulim local municipality, will be addressed by the National Chairperson of the ANC, Comrade Gwede Mantashe. Nkangala Region Stiftwete Sydney Choma Banquet Hall will be addressed by Nomvula Mukonyani, First Deputy Secretary General of the African National Congress. National Mourning and Funeral Service. Comrade David DD Mabuza will be laid to rest on Saturday, 12 July 2025. Prior to that, a guard of honor will be held on Friday, 11th July 2025 from 14 hours here in Barberton. A church service will take place at the Mabuza homestead on Friday, 11th July 2025 at 17 hours in accordance with family's tradition. The official funeral service will take place on Saturday, 12 July 2025 in a program led by the President of the Republic of South Africa and coordinated with the Mabuza family and the ANC. The funeral will receive full military honor, Category 2 as declared by the State President. Details of the funeral service, seating, protocol and live stream information will be issued by the Office of the Premier of Mpumalanga, the Presidency and the Mpumalanga ANC Provincial Office in due course. Comrade DD Mabuza life was a living embodiment of the Freedom Charter's call that, I quote, South Africa belongs to all who live in it. His love for the landless, his concern for the child in the furthest rural classroom, and his belief in unity will remain guiding lights for this generation and the next. As the ANC, we call on all our members, supporters, and all South Africans to use this moment of mourning to reaffirm our shared commitment to dignity, justice, and people-centered leadership. We shall continue to walk in his footsteps with humility, with discipline, and with the understanding that to serve is to lead. And we want to thank the Mabuza family for giving us an opportunity and a special recognition as the African National Congress. And for the family, they've thanked the leadership of our movement, from the President, Deputy President, and all leaders of our movement, and welcomed us in this homestead and in this family through all our structures in the province and everyone across the length and breadth of South Africa. But we want to thank them for allowing us to be with them and to share with them this moment of sorrow, and to remind them that DD too was part of us. DD Mabuza was a member and a leader of the ANC who led from the front. Whenever the movement needed him, he was there, in good and bad times. When the ANC was faced with the difficult and challenging times in the election campaign, and when the ANC needed every supporter, member, leader, resource, DD need not to be called or to be mobilized or organized. He just walked out of this place and went across the length and breadth of South Africa and campaigned for the African National Congress. Every resource he had, he shared with our movement. He will be sorely missed. We too have lost an uncle, a father, a comrade. He was everything to us. DD shared everything with the African National Congress. And we know that today we are poorer without him. He worked tirelessly in our organization for what is good for the African National Congress. Where he thinks we committed mistakes, including himself, he was honorable and courageous and principled enough to come to the fore and mobilize all of us in the right path. For that, he will be missed. And we thank our comrades and the ground forces in Mpumalanga and across the length and breadth of the country, who have ensured that we are present here to share, our celebration of the life of DD, and every leader, every member of the ANC, and all other political parties and leaders across the political divide who have been with us, have given the ANC messages of support and mourning the departed life of our dear comrade. And we thank the media for giving also an opportunity to share our own experiences, individual, collectively, and organizationally, the life of Comrade DD Mabuza. And most importantly, we say to his family, draw solace from the knowledge that you are not alone in this difficult time. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Comrade SG. I will at this point turn to yourselves, members of the media, request that you ask the questions that you need to pose to the SG. And of course, the SG is accompanied by a delegation of National Executive Committee members and the leadership of the province, the chair, as well as the provincial secretary and the deputy chairperson, and those that are just flanking the SG. Members of the media, can we start? And I really want to plead that we limit a conversation about the state of the nation on other matters. We can speak about it, but let this not be about that. We are Africans, and I think we must focus largely on matters pertaining to the Mabuza family and matters pertaining to what the SG has spoken about in terms of the plan for the next days. Thank you very much. ENCA?
All right, thank you. Moluko Moloto here from ENCA. Mr. Mbalula, just two quick three questions. One, as you described Mr. Mabuza as the embodiment of the Freedom Charter, perhaps for those of us who might not be privy to the influence and the critical role that he might have played, particularly having served as deputy president of the ANC and of the country for that 5-year period, if you can elucidate there. But also, it's impossible for us not to ask about other matters. Yesterday, when you criticized the DA for having opened a criminal case against Minister Nkabane, you said no law was broken, but this morning we wake up to reports indicating that 2 staffers have essentially said they did not participate in that process, despite the fact that she told Parliament to the contrary. And lastly, the 30% tariffs by the United States, the ANC's position on that.
Let me start with Nkabane because it's quite exciting to you. But nonetheless, it is what the media is for, to follow the truth. And we welcome the question and thank you for the question. And let me explain to you exactly the background to it. Should anyone have any information with regard to the minister and seek to challenge the fact that what the minister said to the portfolio committee is not informed by the truth, there are checks and balances in terms of the constitution of the country, in terms of our parliamentary system and legislature. There is ethics committee. Other political parties have reported the minister before the ethics committee. The onus is on them to prove that the minister have not told the truth in relation to what she said before the portfolio committee. Simple as that. Let's not argue about things that can be pursued through the proper channels, either through Chapter 9 institutions as well as through Parliament. I've said yesterday that members of the executive are governed by a code of ethics in terms of the executive and also the legislature. And in this particular regard, myself, even to strike a personal note, I was taken to the ethics committee, and some of my colleagues and ministers have also appeared before the ethics committee. At some point, I was also taken to the public protector, like all other members. All what I'm saying and I'm explaining is that from the calculation of the overall a number of facts that were presented to us. The minister did not tell a lie to Parliament, and that is what we have actually explained. Secondly, I said, did she err in terms of some of the things that have happened? We said, yes, she did. She admitted, she apologized. Thirdly, she implemented corrective measures. And then I said, fourthly, in terms of corrective measures that have actually implemented, as it pertains to the sitters, that process have begun from afresh. Labour, student, business, and everybody have been invited through the process of participating in the selection of the sitters. So, in as far as that matter is concerned, it is actually closed. Should anyone want to charge the minister and say that she did not tell the truth, let's not argue about it. The minister herself will speak for herself, and present the facts before the ethics committee. It is allowed. It's a parliamentary process, and that is what is actually going to happen in this particular regard. Your questions are three. Donald Trump, I'm sure by now, like I said yesterday, there is another tweet. So exactly by the time we're there was a question of tariffs, which have said that there will be tariff increase in terms of goods export to the United States by the President of the United States. DTI and government will engage with the United States with regard to those matters. Obviously, that will affect and will have an adverse effect in terms of our export trade arrangement with the United States of America. So government must engage with the United States of America in this particular regard. More than any other thing, this seems to be retribution on the basis of belonging to other nations in terms of regional blocs. You are being punished for that. It's not only unfair, but at the same time, it is an injustice, all in all. And in this particular regard, our government must stand and actually engage with the United States of America in this particular instance. And then
the third question was really about the impact of his leadership for the 5 years that he had been in the second most powerful position, Fikile.
Comrade DD was given tasks in government that include one, service delivery by the president. That include also intervening in terms of issues of land, and he has actually addressed and championed that particular cause to the best of ability. He was the chair of SANAC. You know what has happened in the tenor of this period in relation to our attitude and a whole lot of issues in terms of policy and the intervention government has made in terms of HIV plan and strategy as a government, which have been revamped and all of that. And the results are there for everyone to see. And then he has actually led this. But over and above that, he was given a responsibility to lead the task of looking after the welfare of our veterans, a task that he enjoyed and he was championing it quite successfully, but it's not complete. And it is then upon this administration to ensure that our military veterans and all the things that affect them in terms of their welfare are properly addressed.
Thank you very much. Newsroom.
Thank you very much. Zianda Ngobo from Newsroom Africa. In the last couple of days, we have been discussing the Mkhwanazi issue. This morning, however, in light of what's common cause that DD Mabuza was concerned about the state of the organization and the public image, you now have two ministers, police ministers, former and current, being associated with this Vusi Cat Matlala report by News 24 saying that Cele was staying in his penthouse in Pretoria at some stage. This does not bode well for the image of the organization and the perception that the organization is corrupt and is now actually at the behest or working at the behest of the underworld. What does the ANC have to say about this in light of the public scrutiny and calls for action, as of course we wait for the president to also give direction?
You will have seen in the past 24 hours since the report was published, there's been dossiers and counter dossiers. the government and the public discourse cannot be defined by dossiers. We will look at what government will do with what Mkhwanazi have presented to the country, which is not a dossier, which he has actually went blow by blow about what he was actually dealing with, which calls for action in that regard. So we will not deal with dossiers because that is a work of the underworld, the work of the dark world, counter accusations, and we will caution South Africa not to follow dossiers.
It's an investigative piece, Mr. Mbalula.
No, I'm not relating exactly to what we are talking about because it's not a dossier. I'm talking related to the question you are asking and the activities since what Mkhwanazi has presented to the country on Monday. It has now been accompanied by dossiers and counter dossiers. It's not coming from you. In relation to what you are asking, we have made our point clear yesterday. We still stand by it as the African National Congress. And we are happy that the president have reacted to the developments in the country in the manner in which he did and committed to dealing with the issues. And because they are serious, they are very important, they are grave concerns that we must deal with as a nation. The believability of the state and government in dealing with matters of great concern will be tested in our attitude in relation to how we deal with those particular matters. So in this instance, as the ANC, we have deferred, correctly so, to government led by the president to deal with these matters. And the president have already pronounced on the matters immediately and even yesterday, talking from Rio at the airport coming back home, that he still reiterate the fact that these matters are grave and they will be dealt with.
The image of the party, Mr.
Or
Mbalula,
the image
there are
of
two
the
ministers from your party, both former and current, senior members of the ANC, who in an investigative piece by News 24 have been implicated. The image and what this says about the ANC in an environment where the confidence in your party is already
Thank you, Zianda.
No, there's no need to raise palpitations.
Yeah.
Let's deal with issues. No, let's deal with issues properly. Yeah, thank you. I missed that point. Let me answer that question.
SG.
In relation to that, I wish to also reiterate that in the ANC, we've got our own processes. The matters that are reported in the public domain in terms of the ANC, we do have the capacity to deal with them, and also those members to appear before the Integrity Commission to explain themselves in as far as how those matters affect the integrity of the party. The Integrity Commission will be seized with those matters in relation to those members. It's either those members will present themselves. If they fail to present themselves, they will be convened, I can assure you, before the Integrity Commission. The president of the country and the state, in terms of preserving its integrity, must deal with all implications and accusations made, grievous as they are, and get to the bottom of that. And that is what is important, because the rule of law is the cornerstone of our democratic state. And the National Democratic Revolution, for it to succeed, it is also about the rule of law. Rule of law, rule of law. And that is what is important. And we cannot prevaricate on that. And the ANC will not. And that is why even ourselves internally as a party, we have strengthened our mechanisms in the fight against corruption. So in this instance, without saying others are guilty or not, we must understand there's always another side of the story. And so that is why we put processes in place for people to clarify some of the rumors and allegations that are made against them.
The next, my brother?
Thank you, SG. Swarelo Murakani, Sunday World. I've heard many times that the ANC defines Mabuza as a disciplined leader, and he was a good member in standing, which I totally agree with from how I knew him as well as a reporter. The question is, before he passed away, he was no longer a leader at that top level of the ANC and in government, but you guys relied on him for wisdom. Was he able to share with you his sentiments on the government of national unity, especially given that some members of that GNU have been behaving in a way that is not favorable to the ANC.
The strategic and tactical maneuver of the ANC on the GNU have also received mixed views in the party and also outside, particularly within the democratic fold. So in this particular instance, DD was a very disciplined member of the ANC. So he knew where to express his view, and at the same time, he understood the moment that the movement is at and the difficulties we are faced with. And he has not at any given point in time went outside and then used the fact that he was now outside and he can speak independently and, positioned himself as an independent analyst of sort. He recognized the unwritten laws of the ANC that you respect the leadership that is there and you take command and leadership. You respect democratic centralism. Mabuza respected these principles and embraced them. Mabuza was not a wayward anarchist who was all over social media platforms and WhatsApp groups, spending sleepless nights, undermining the cohesion of the movement. He was very organized. He was very critical of ill discipline. He was also critical about some of the positions the movement will take, but he had an approach because he recognized the fact that he was a former leader of the ANC and he contributed to the unity of the ANC. He contributed to the victory of the African National Congress. And should he have actually gone out and criticized at a personal note, striking a personal note, I would have respected it because Mabuza took it upon himself to contribute to the victory of the ANC. And that is what he did as a disciplined member of the African National Congress.
But I'm talking internally, as he expressed his sentiments to the leadership of the ANC, not necessarily speaking outside, being on Twitter and everything, just to the leadership of the ANC, that these are my views privately about the GNU, especially with the people that you are in the GNU.
I am saying to you, Mabuza respected privately and otherwise democratic centralism of the ANC. And democratic centralism embraces dissent. And dissent means that you can hold a view that is opposite to the national leadership, but you stay to the discipline of the organization. And I'm saying that he was that kind of a cadre. So what you want is a private discussion, which I'm not at liberty to express when a person has passed on, because he's got no right now to reply for himself. So you wouldn't know whether I'm telling a lie. I saw a leader here who was parading and strutting like a peacock, talking about the fact that they took Mabuza to somewhere and somewhere and somewhere. Did he explain this story? When he came from Russia, for all South Africans to know how he got there, how he left this place, and who assisted him. He didn't need a spokesperson called myself, Mandla, or anybody. The man spoke for himself. So why do I talk about the views of somebody that were held in private, that you will not be in a position to counter, whether I'm lying or not? All what I'm talking about, it's a principle that DD respected democratic centralism, and that is a fact.
You see?
A quick and final one from my side, Mr. Mbalula. Given the gravity and the seriousness of the allegations against Police Minister Mkhunu, why is it difficult for the ANC to say, step aside, resign from your position as police minister, and once you are cleared, we will see where we redeploy you, given the fact that South Africans are looking at him as a minister who is possibly in the pockets of criminals?
The reports about the minister and what was said about him happened on Monday. And the ANC have not met to reflect on those reports. The president was out of the country in BRICS. Today is Tuesday. First step, the ANC said these matters deferring to government, they must be investigated, they are serious. That's what the ANC said. The ANC never questioned the bona fides of the general, or neither questioned what he actually presented to the public. Secondly, government reacted to that through the president that we will attend to these matters. They are grievous, they are serious, they must be attended to. The ANC, in terms of itself as an organization, will reflect on these matters whenever it meets next week on Monday. But over and above that, we don't have to wait for next week Monday. The ANC have got its own processes that should a member of the organization be placated with such accusations and all of that, that member is presented with an opportunity to appear before its integrity and clarify themselves. So there is no unilateral decisions that is taken simply based on rumors and allegations about a member. They too are given a right to respond. But should the ANC arrive at a decision in whatever way, based on the reports of the Integrity Commission, the NEC will pronounce on those, and then those decisions will be pronounced. So all these rumors and allegations made, those members will present themselves to the Organizational Party Integrity Commission. And that is what has actually happened. So be reminded all the time that whenever or anyone is accused, now and even in future, this is what happens in the ANC. It doesn't have to wait for a disciplinary process. Should anyone be arrested in between meetings and all of that, and even between the processes of that is provided by the ANC rules that a member must then step aside. In this particular instance, our step aside rules do not allow us to make anyone to step aside unless if they've actually been arrested, which is a point that I actually clarified yesterday. So we've got processes, we've got checks and balances that allow us to deal with matters. I have said, and we still repeat now, nothing will be fudged in this regard, and matters must be dealt with, and the state and government must lead in this regard and deal with the allegations as they were presented the other day.
I'm going to ask you, SG, to reflect on another fallen hero, Veli Mahlang.
The ANC also wishes to express its heartfelt condolences to Veli Mahlangu's family. As we bid farewell to Comrade DD, yet another luminary in the province of Mpumalanga and the country, Veli Mahlangu, have passed on. These are the foremost important people in our country and patriots who serviced our communities through football and black business in our country. And they were very loyal to our country and also visibly clear in terms of the fight against apartheid. And we say, may his soul rest in peace. Condolences